What's going on? How we doing today, fellas? Appreciate y'all tuning in. I know it's been a little bit longer of a break since we had that Thursday night game, so it kind of sucks to have that extra gap after a loss. But um, I know it's been a crazy week. We got some highs and some lows, but I'm still feeling good. I'm still optimistic overall. Shout out Will on Instagram. What up? How you feeling? You blessing or you stressing? Let me know in the comments whether you're blessing or you're stressing. I know a lot of us are probably both. You know, it's up and down. But shout out D Rob on IG. What's good, brother? Patton, that's my guy, the mailman. What it do, baby? Appreciate you, man. If y'all don't follow Texans on three, Patton's one of the three. Him, Shep, and Nitty, those are my guys. Texas Made on IG. What's good? Appreciate you tuning in, man. Yeah, I'll just kind of do what I normally do. I'll kind of just shoot it with you guys for a bit, and then we'll go into hopefully a quick recap of the Jets game. I think it's been long enough, and then a preview for the Lions game. But I oddly feel good about that game. So shout out, chop it up with Chef Mike. Blessing for show. Facts, baby. Always blessing. Over on IG, CB292. CJ is my king. Facts. That's why I got the CJ Hope shirt on, baby. As long as we got him, we got hope. We just need to protect him. We just need a O-line we don't even need a good O-line. We just need a not shitty O-line. That's really what it comes down to. But Will on IG says that both we need Nico back. Facts. We do need Nico back. I'll go into it. I shared a Texas Made also says we need Nico. Facts. We do. I shared a next gen stat that I saw earlier today that I'll go over, but basically it just said that CJ has been under pressure more than anybody, and they're all quick pressures, but his completions and stats with Nico under pressure versus any other receiver is like night and day. So at the simplest form, having Nico Collins solves a lot of our issues that we've had. And I think that's something that we didn't realize early on in the year, that CJ and Nico, their connection covered up a lot of terrible O-line play. And I think that's why when Nico's been out these past 4 games, all of a sudden the O-line looks worse again. Well, it's because one of his top targets is gone, who he can trust on slants. Screens were a big thing. And then I think the biggest thing that Nico was able to do to kind of mask the bad O-line play was the scramble drill. For whatever reason, CJ and Nico have this crazy connection in the scramble drill, and we all saw it the first 4-6 weeks of the season. Every time the pocket broke, CJ flushed, and he hit Nico for a 20-plus yard gain. So shout out Mr. Optimistic, says he needs that shirt. Yeah, it's on the website, HoustonStressans.com. I might have to hook you up, Mr. Optimistic. I need to do a giveaway again soon. JG on IG says straight facts. That's right, man. We need to basically protect CJ. That's all it comes down to. And, obviously Nico will provide some relief in that regard. But Nicholas on IG says, feel good about the game too. Blessing and facts. It's crazy. I mean, like, as bad as a lot of us feel right now, and it's justified, imagine how good we're going to feel if we win this game against the Lions. They're being touted as the best team in the league. But it's the NFL. I mean, just because they're this record and we're this record, I mean, we saw it last week with the Jets. They were 2-6, and I feel like people were overreacting to that record. I thought they were much better than their record and will finish much better than that. I think the Jets will make a legit run at the playoffs from here on out. I feel like we kind of get fixated on that. It's the same with this here. Oh, the Lions are 6-1 or 7-1, whatever the record is, and we're 6-3, so they're going to whoop our ass. Like, that doesn't always work out that way. I mean, and sometimes really good teams lose to bad teams. The Ravens lost to the Raiders at home this year. We lost to the Panthers last year. Like, games happen. It's the NFL. It's all about, in the moment, everything gets magnified, but just try to see the big picture. Shout out Robert Land. If y'all don't listen to Robert Land, he's got a great podcast. I've been on there before, Houston Sports Talk. Shout out Robert. He says, how do you feel about Jarrett Patterson starting at left guard after the news today? Is he your preference at left guard? On Slowick, where are bubble screens to counter pressure? Have they run one this season? These are great questions. So my instincts are, I assume what they will do is just go with the same plan that they had whenever Kenny was benched initially against the Colts, which would be to put Patterson at left guard. What I would like is something more drastic. I think obviously left guard with Kenyon Green was by far the biggest sore on our offensive line. But I think in the midst of that, something that's been overlooked is Juice Scruggs at center. I don't think he's been that good. I think there's obviously the center is probably the most important position on the O-line, obviously aside from the left tackle being the blind side protecting your quarterback, but from the guy basically being the captain of the O-line, setting the protections, all that stuff starts with the center. And, we've seen instances of where that may not be where it needs to be. We've seen issues with snaps, like where this ball isn't snapped, where other guys are getting penalties. We saw it in Minnesota when LT was mad at the center for not snapping because he false started, like little stuff like that. And Patterson last year, with a much less O-line that was infinite amount better than what we've seen the past 3-4 weeks, was the center for a majority of that time. So I wouldn't mind seeing one solution would be putting Jarrett Patterson at center, kicking Scruggs to guard. This is one option too that's a little more out there that I've been vouching for, but maybe it's a down the line option would be, and I know y'all don't want to hear it, but Titus at left guard. I know he's supposedly the worst left guard ever. And then Fisher at right tackle, which I think that would obviously be a little bit of a gamble. I mean, but we picked him early and we think he's good. He started out rough in his first couple games, but the last couple games he's played, he showed some promise. But in this scenario, the reason I like this scenario is because this is the closest O-line. Because what I've done is I went back and my thought process was, how was last year's O-line so much better than this line? So I just looked at the lineups, what the majority of that was. And the majority of the lineup was obviously LTs at LT. That's locked in. But left guard was Titus Howard, for good or bad. So you're kind of sacrificing one thing for the greater good in this scenario. So our O-line was great last year with Titus at left guard, no matter how good or bad he was personally. And it was good with Jarrett Patterson at center, Shaq Mason at right guard, and George Fant at right tackle. And so the only difference would be you would now have Blake Fisher instead of George Fant. So I don't think that they will go with that option, but if things continue to suck, then I think that's like a last-ditch option. But I really hope we find a way to get Patterson at center, and that maybe results in Scruggs going to left guard. And then on Slowick, I agree. Robert says, where are bubble screens to counter pressure? That is great. I have not seen a bubble screen. I think we haven't ran a bubble screen because we don't run a spread formation. All of our formations are condensed. You can't run a bubble when both your receivers are at the end of the line of scrimmage. But I agree. I mean, really, like I mentioned earlier with Nico, him helping out with the pressure is because our only screens we run are Nico on the outside, and he's just a freak of nature and can take a covered, contested, simple screen for a first down. But, I mean, I agree. I've been a big Bobby defender the whole year. It's been hard to really put a lot of blame on him because of how bad the O-line play has been, but I've been really frustrated with him for the first time really all year and his play calling, mostly because of his lack of adjustments. When you see your O-line struggling, pass protection as a whole, as bad as it has, and not coming up with new solutions, which is kind of what Robert's alluding to, not just bubble screens, but, draws, delays, halfback screens. I haven't seen any halfback screens, and when we do run them, they don't work. I don't know if that's just execution, spreading the ball out. We ran a bunch of condensed formations last year. We're continuing to do it this year. I think that's been a big adjustment for defenses is now when you bring your receivers in, you also bring in the corners and the nickels. And so those defensive backs can now much more easily bluff a blitz. They can act like they're covering and blitz last second, and we have no answer for it. That's been one issue right there that's caused a lot of trouble for us. So appreciate you, Robert. Rock T Man, no Nico. It's up in the air. I'm optimistic. Aaron Wilson had a tweet today. He's still on IR. I know I said he's back. Some people got upset that I said that and said I was misleading people. But, I mean, from the tweet that I read from Aaron, it sounded like, they said that he's basically full clear go, running full speed and stuff like that. It's not a matter of if he returns from IR. It's a matter of when. So I would assume, that would be this week. But to double off of that, I shared a clip this week of D'Amico talking And, he says basically it was the whole conversation with John Harris about players coming back from injury and how he's more conservative and likes to take his time. He likes to give that extra week, worst case. But he did say regardless, they have to practice to play. So if Nico doesn't practice this week, if he doesn't practice tomorrow, it might be up in the air. So tomorrow will be a big day for that. Over on IG, JG said George Fant was very good for us last season. Facts. George Fant was underrated. So that would be the question in that scenario, is the gamble would be Blake Fisher if he can play up to that level. Can he? I don't know. JK Evan on IG asked about Nico. Yeah, so it's basically depends tomorrow if he practices, in my opinion, and I don't know. He's from that tweet, it sounds like he's healthy. So JG says Juice didn't play bad at guard last season. Yeah, I think he was okay. The PFF grades I checked didn't show great, but I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, at this point, we're in desperation mode in terms of pass protection. So, I mean, exhaust all your options until you find a solution. Shorty23 on IG says anything can happen. I always have faith in the Texans. Facts, Shorty. Speaking big facts over here. Let's see what else we got on IG. We got Mark Garza. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. Should be Tunsil, Scruggs, Patterson, Mason Howard. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm with that, dude. I really think the change at center would solve a lot of issues for us. Even if we don't do that and we put just Patterson at left guard, that improves at left guard. But then you could also argue then maybe better play at left guard also helps the center. So regardless of what we do, it should be better than what we've seen. And then I'll dive into it too, but I like our matchup against this Lions defense. I don't think it's as good as they're being touted, especially with the pass rush in the front seven. Yeah, Mark says Scruggs is built like a guard, in my opinion. Yeah, he kind of is. I can see that. Let's get a couple over here. Sports Social Live, keep pushing the content. Appreciate you, bro. I really do appreciate all y'all, man. It's just crazy. Like, it really is a 24/7 news cycle. So I do feel like I'm spamming at times, but I try to put as much content as I put out there. I have X amount that I don't, because it's just hard to, keep up with it. Texans, they're fun to cover. Chop Up with Mike. I don't know what that is, but check it out. Sports Social Live. Slowick has to be more dynamic and adaptable in the run game. When defenses adjust to his scheming in the second half, he doesn't have to fully abandon the run. He can just, with quick pulls, bottom line, call plays to his personnel. Yeah, I mean, he definitely – second half is definitely something that's been not great. And, yeah, I mean – and I should say, like, the whole offensive struggles as a whole is – there's so many people at fault. I would say O-line plays the worst or the biggest problem. And then it's pass protection as a whole. So, I mean, that includes running backs and tight ends too. And I don't know if that's I don't think it shouldn't be a talent issue. It's a mental scheme issue and being coached issue. And then, CJ does have some responsibility in this too. But the big problem is we had this convo earlier just before this show on the AFC South Roundtable. Is CJ Stroud having a sophomore slump? Hell no, not even close to having a sophomore slump. But he does deserve some blame for what's going on. I mean, we mentioned it earlier, the pressures that he's getting, not only is he getting pressured at a crazy rate, like top 5 in the league, but like the types of pressure he's getting is basically untouched rushers, where he's getting hit in like a second or 2 seconds or less, where he basically, I mean, who in their right mind would be able to sit back there and be able to remain calm and just get hit after time with no warning? Like, normally, if the guy can block for a second, you can see it fine. But so my point is, yeah, that's where you see his clock getting sped up and him getting happy feet, and you can't blame him for that, in my opinion. So until we kind of consistently get some answers, then he can kind of get more confidence in them to be back to where he was, where he can sit back in that pocket. But that being said, too, there's other small things. He's missed some throws here and there despite the pressure. And then it's tough for us as fans to speculate. We don't really know who's at fault on making these checks or these calls. And one issue for pass protection, in my opinion, is the blitz pickup. We have these condensed formations, like I said, where a corner is blitzing or a nickel is blitzing, And I feel like at times receivers aren't running hot routes, whether it's miscommunication on the receiver or if it's CJ's fault. So there's a lot of stuff. It's not just one thing. And it's kind of weird because it's like a bunch of little stuff, but it all adds up to one big thing. And then you got random stuff like spacing where, maybe someone splits her too tight and the tackle steps on the tight end's foot like Howard did on Schultz, or on that play, actually, Schultz hesitated for a second to where he didn't get out of the way. It's just a bunch of little stuff. I mean, the fumble against the Colts, I mean, that was a little execution thing where was that the snap being too late, or was that Stover being too slow, or is that CJ not calling for the ball soon enough? It's just all this little stuff. So I would put coaching too, just, repping these little details is definitely a big issue. It's just a myriad of stuff. So Chop Up with Mike said, I highlighted our Texans on this week's episode of the Chopping Block with Chef Mike. Yeah, I'll check it out. That's what that link is. Okay, cool. DM it to me too, bro, if you don't mind. Christian, Texans Luke. If y'all don't know, Christian's a Titans fan, so he can tighten up. It's like the cheesiest hashtag in the world. Let me check IG. Over on IG, HTXJ Perk. Appreciate you, bro. He says, hey, man, big fan of your content. I really appreciate that, man. Instagram's a lot of fun. It's a pretty cool community on there as well. But yeah, over here, let's see what else we got. Mike says, Nico being back, Edwards and Patterson makes me feel confident. Plus, we are home. I'm not sure what Edwards is, but I agree on Nico and Patterson. Jose A on IG says, I've only seen on 2 sites that Christian Harris is coming back for Dolphins game. I saw that today too. I'll take it at this point. The replacement play that we've gotten in his absence has been great with Henry To'oTo'o. So, I mean, hopefully sooner than later with Christian Harris. Mike says our Texans are hush-hush until game day. I think he will play. Yeah, but like what I said, I think Nico has to practice for him to play, honestly. Christian says week 9 AFC South record, Titans 1-0, rest of the division 0-1. Yeah, right. Y'all playing the Chargers? Y'all ain't winning that game. Y'all got Levis starting too. Good luck. I don't know if it will start or not, but I know he's healthy. Y'all need to root for Mason Rudolph to come back for sure. Sports Social Live, tight ends have played poorly as well. Beefing Jordan was a hidden gem for this team. I think it means Brevin Jordan. I agree. I've been shouting that. Brevin Jordan was massively underrated. And this is something, too, that I said on air on ESPN 975 earlier today. But this is something I don't get why we don't do this. Like, if our pass pro is struggling as much as it is, why don't we run jumbo sets? And if our tight ends are a big problem with the pass pro, we're asking 2 and 3 tight end sets to block. Why don't we put tackles out there instead of tight ends and just beef it up and max protect? I mean, I feel like we haven't seen that. And when I go through the preview here for the Lions game on Next Gen Stats, we'll see a stat on there where the Lions I think they use those jumbo sets the most in the league on first and second down, and they have great success with it. Okay, Mike says Mario Edwards. Yeah, for sure. I forgot about Mario Edwards being out, dude. That's crazy. What up, Brandon? Brandon says, can we just use 10 tight ends for the O-line? Have we asked the NFL nicely? Yeah, I mean, we got to do something, bro. We're at a point where we got to figure something out. So, yeah, I think that's good right there. So we'll just I'll kind of answer the comments as we go, but I'll get into reviewing the Jets game. Again, my common theme has been I feel like the loss isn't as bad as what we thought going into it. We all kind of harped on them being 2-6, but I thought they were much better than their record. They had lost back-to-back games to the Vikings and the Bills, both, top contenders or playoff teams. And both of those games, they lost. They had game-winning drives. Vikings game, basically about to score. Rodgers throws to Mike Williams. I believe he drops it or tips it, and it gets intercepted. And then in the Bills game, they're driving, about to be in field goal range at the least. Mike Williams runs the wrong route. Aaron Rodgers throws him to lead him a certain way, tracks the ball wrong, also intercepted. And Mike Williams is now gone off the Jets. But that was something that has plagued them this season, was not having that second wide receiver that Rodgers could trust. Mike Williams is decent, but he doesn't fit in that scheme. He's not like a cerebral read a defense type of receiver. He's more of just a straight line jump ball possession guy. So I thought the Jets were underrated for that. And then, they were a very undisciplined team, or have been too. Without that, they could have won some more games. Their special teams was terrible. Their kicker got put on IR, but he basically was cut. Zerline, he had missed like half of his field goals and lost them a handful of games. So, I mean, they came into the game against us 2-6. They could have very easily had 3 to 4 more wins. They could have easily been a 4 or 5 win team. And then you couple that with the fact that they were 2-6. They got an interim head coach. They had traded for Devontae Adams. This is, but people expected as soon as they got him for it to click like that, but it obviously took time. So he had played 2 games and hadn't really connected with Rodgers. So now we're screwed on the timing of that. We're like, this is the week where things finally gel with Devontae and Rodgers. And then same with Hassan Reddick. He had finally played his first game, but was getting ramped up. And then I think this was his second week. So now he was pretty much full go. So the team that we thought we were going to get wasn't the team we were getting. And then they were backs against the wall. They were desperate. I was saying it was very key for us to get out to an early lead in that game, because if we let a desperate team like that stick around, it was dangerous. But if we could have got out to an early lead and gotten them dejected and out of the game, we would have been good. So all that being said, too, like the game itself, I mean, obviously it feels bad, but we were up in the fourth quarter, I believe, 10-7 in the fourth. We can go back and forth, but, like I'm trying to illustrate that there were a lot of plays that could have gone either way. And, a decent amount went their way that made a difference. Breece Hall had a fumble we didn't recover. Terrible O-line play, and we still were in the game, mostly from left guard. C.J. Stroud fumbled inside the 10 or 12 because of, Kenyon Green missing a block. So that's 3 to 7 points right there. Kaimi missed a field goal. That's 3 points. Missed 2 field goals. That's 6 points. There's a lot of stuff. Like there was another time too. 2 times we were in field goal range, 3rd and long, took a sack, and then missed one and got put out of field goal range. So I mean, and you can say on their end too, they had the touchdown with Malachi Corley where he dropped the ball. Okay, we'll give you that. But I mean, 2 of their touchdowns for Garrett Wilson were just ridiculous catches. First one-handed, and the ball was perfect. It was great coverage by Petrie. Kind of gambled a little bit to go for it, but I mean, I think that was a 3rd and long too. So I mean, that's a 4-point swing right there to have a crazy one-hander and a tight window to go for a touchdown. And then the other one too, before that, it was 4th and 1. We got a phantom illegal touching call by Stingley on one of their receivers that gave them a first down. And then they had the ridiculous Garrett Wilson, Odell Beckham catch, which I don't even know if it was a catch. Originally not called a catch, overturned and called a catch. Evidently, the knee is a separate part of your shin. And even then, I think his shin might have been out of bounds. And then they didn't even cover the fact that there was a bobble on the ball potentially too. So I mean, I'm just illustrating all these things that happened that could have swayed this game, just to make us realize that, like, hey, like, it's not as bad as it looks. And then Robert says, don't forget that Fairbairn missed that easy field goal. He made the field goal the same drive. Yeah, so that was like a comedy of errors. And that was funny because we only got that drive extended because of the penalty. What I had mentioned, the Jets were undisciplined where they jumped over the deep snapper. And but also on that same drive too, we got the penalty. CJ missed a wide open match in the end zone. So, I mean, like, it's excuse making, but it's to paint a picture of like, look, it's not as bad as you think. Like, they made more plays than us, but it wasn't like, we just lost to the freaking Patriots or Panthers or something like that. Which even if it did, it happens, but that's just what I'm trying to do. Shout out Delfonte Diamond on IG. I don't know if y'all follow him on Instagram or IG, but he's one of, if not the best wide receiver trainer in the nation. He trains all the top athletes in the NFL and in college, including some Texans like Tank Dell. But I've interviewed and talked to him before, and I watch a lot of his content. And I had played receiver myself all the way up through college, and he knows what the hell he's talking about. He's changing the game too. Like the stuff that a lot of, like the Devontae Adams stuff we saw, the releases that he had against Petrie, that's the kind of stuff that he's like been the first cutting edge on, unique releases and whatnot. Shout out Ultimate Fan HTX. He's tuned in on IG too. If y'all don't follow him, give him a follow. He's a great fan for our Houston fan base. He has a great show as well. We appreciate you, Ultimate Fan. CJ on IG says, excuses, man. We just got to suck it up. No Diddy. We aren't a good team. I mean, it's excuses, but I mean, I'm painting a picture. But yes, the O-line is struggling, but it's fixable to me, in my opinion. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. It hasn't been that way. But as I said earlier, Nico Collins being gone was a big issue. And then now inserting Patterson can be a big issue too. And we have played some good D-lines. I know y'all want to hear, but we've played some good D-lines. The Colts, we thought they weren't good, but when we played them the second time, they were much improved with some guys they got back that hadn't been playing before. I mean, they looked pretty good against the Vikings last on Sunday night or Monday night, that was. Defonte says, blessings, brother. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, but and then, last week we played I'm starting to talk too much, talk too fast. But, yeah, so last week we had a bad performance with the Jets, and their D-line was underrated too. They're still a top 10 defense. They hadn't had Hassan Reddick really inserted into that line, and then Quinnen Williams is insane, and that matchup was just terrible for us. Him on Kenyon Green was just like – that was just – the game was over. Like, just that matchup alone cost the game. So I think we're fine, man. Eric says on IG, we need to show up repping the Battle Red against Detroit. Facts. I mean, we saw what it was Sunday. I don't know if y'all were there, but that first Sunday night game against the Bears, that place was electric, bro. Like, the vibes in there were crazy. So, I mean, we have a significant home field advantage. So that's one thing I do worry about is, like, a lot of us get dejected from the highs and lows of the season. Like, don't let that affect you in your mood going into the game this Sunday. Like, we watch all these games where we go on the road and we struggle because of crowd noise. Well, we need to do that shit ourselves too. So, I mean, just because you're frustrated, don't want to, like, make you less enthusiastic, because that makes a difference. And so I really think that we're going to have a big factor, the crowd and the home field advantage. I think that it's going to be a long night for Jared Goff, honestly. Let's see right here. Quinder, T.O., don't you have to beat good teams with good defensive lines? Yeah, I mean, I'm not excuse making, but, like, I'm just saying, it's not as bad as you think. I mean, the other part of this too is we're still halfway through the season, and, we'll finish however we finish, but typically you'll look back and be like, oh, okay, like, we thought the Jets were ass and they beat us, but shit, they're a playoff team. I mean, that's the picture I'm painting, is like, oh, we let the terrible Colts D-line pressure us. And it's like, oh, well, you know what? They started getting better, so they're actually not that bad. It's not an excuse for the play. It's just to paint a picture. But I'm telling you right now, this Detroit defensive line is not as good as the ones we played the past 2, 3, 4 weeks. They are not. They are not. Yes, they got Zadarius Smith. I don't know how much he'll play, how active he'll be. It should be a pretty seamless transition. But, if they got certain packages they run, he may not play the full allotted snap count. But even then, with them, they're still not the best defensive line. They're 25th in pressure rate. I know people are going to say, well, so-and-so, the Packers were 14th or whatever it was, but this truly is one of the weaker pass rushes we'll face. And we're at home, so it's going to make a difference. But yeah, so the Jets game, I mean, the stats, yeah, we outgained them. I guess you could say some of that's garbage, yardage, but this is just to further indicate it wasn't as bad as we thought. Third down, 6 of 17, so that's, below 50%, not good. They were 5 of 12. And then I think the big thing in the Jets game too was in the second half, obviously the O-line play was the biggest thing, but in the second half, their run game got going. And it can't be stated enough how much a decent run game helps an offense. It keeps it on track or on schedule. On those early downs, first and second down, if you get 3, 4, 5 yards on these runs or more, and now you're set up with 2nd and 3, 3rd and 3. It opens up the entire playbook. Whereas on the flip end, if you're in 3rd and long, which we find ourselves in far too often, now it's a known passing down, and it completely changes things. But in the Jets game, they got the run game going. They had many more 3rd and shorts, 2nd and shorts. And then now you have Jalen Petrie in the slot or nickel star position, who's in there mostly to be a force in the run game, now covering Devontae Adams in the slot. And now that it's a 3rd and short situation, he's in there to stop the run, and then now they pass it and they get you for a big gain. So stopping the run is a big part of it. Shout out Tony from Houston on IG. What up, bro? CJ on IG says, seems like every time we improve a position, another position is the anchor once again. Good RB now. Now the O-line is ass, never ends. That's a good point. It's kind of like your golf game, you know, like you can never have everything on the same page. Like your driver's good, but then your putting sucks or your chipping sucks, you know. It's like the I think it was like the meme too with the Astros, like the levers. It's like runs, pitching, fielding, and like they're never all three on at the same time. That's a good point, bro. Mike says the Texans are number 2 in defense. That alone keeps me confident. About this Sunday. Facts, dude. I've been saying our defense is elite. Like they were getting crap for this game here, but we gave up 21 points, and they were put in not great positions. And then it was in those second halves where they had that 4th and 1 they converted. They had 2 crazy catches for touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't as bad as what it looked. They still gave up under 300 yards, 100 yards rushing to a pretty good duo of running backs. And that was bad for our standards. That's crazy. We had 187 yards rushing. Both teams were pretty penalized. We won the time of possession, 33-26. There's a lot going on there. So Mike also says that shirt is fire. I appreciate it. It's a CJ Hope shirt. If y'all want one, it's on my website, HoustonStressans.com. I got a lot more of them. I'll go through them here in a minute and show them to you guys. But yeah, I mean, like the stats, CJ, another bad game stats wise, but what he was able to do with that pressure was insane. 11 for 30, 191, 8 sacks. You know, and he was getting pressured pretty much every drop back. Rodgers, I think, is underrated. I think he still got it. That's what I was trying to preach all year and going into this game. He was 22 of 32, 211. So he didn't throw for very many more yards. He was just efficient and he had better protection. So yeah, I mean, he just got asked to kind of just manage the ship. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, we'll just go over the PFF grades on this so we can kind of buzz through the rest of this and get into the Lions. Sports Social says agreed. Can't complain about the defensive performance. I grade the defense a solid B+. Yeah, and the thing about our defense too is like our defense at NRG is like elite. Josh Allen 9 for 30. Caleb Williams was similar stats. Anthony Richardson, we ended his career there. I forget who else we played at home, but basically every quarterback who's come into NRG has had a rough time there. And I'll get into the game here in a minute of like how that will happen. Brandon, you know, we were unlucky on Halloween when our score was a 13. That's a good point. And honestly, I'm sure I said it last week, but so whenever I make predictions, I will never pick against the Texans. I'm a homer, even if I think we're going to lose. So I thought there was a good chance we would lose that game. I had it circled before the year, tough game. And then the Jets, they've been on every freaking primetime game every week, so I've watched all their games. I thought they've been a good team. So I thought we were going to lose. But funny though, like as we did our show and went through the stats, I kind of like saw all these numbers and changed my opinion. But I deep down knew I was not surprised by what happened. So I think it shocked me less. It still hurt, but Sarah says, "What's your O-line lineup prediction?" Yes, I mentioned at the top of the show. You know, I'm kind of shifting back and forth, but initially I thought they would just roll out with the same deal whenever they benched Kenyon against the Colts, which would be Jarrett Patterson and for Kenyon. But I really do think we need to do something at center. And I think the fact that we had this mini bye more times to implement a bigger change, I think they go – I'm kind of just thinking this right now. I think they go Scruggs at center. I'm sorry, not Scruggs. Patterson at center, Scruggs at guard. And, you know, left guard's been the big highlight of why the O-line's been bad. I feel like center's been overplayed. It's had its own issues, mostly communication, even snap count, snap infractions, a bunch of little stuff. So no matter what we do, whether it's a minor change or a big change, it's a change, and I'm optimistic it's going to be better than what it was for sure. It'll still take time, but I think we're going to – And what we need for CJ here is we don't need the Lions O-line. We don't need, the Cowboys O-line from Dak's rookie year. We just need a decent O-line. You look at our O-line last year, like these guys that were in there weren't world beaters, and it worked. It was more than enough. So, yeah, and then the fact that our defense has been as good as it has with starters missing is insane. So we'll get into the people coming back. There's some key guys coming back on defense that are massive. Toaster says Jets on primetime practically every week has been miserable. Facts. That's been crazy, dude. But yeah, so for the grades, that's for the season. But let's see if I can go to season. Let me go back here. PFF is always kind of weird, man. Like, it's always hard for me to navigate through here. I get kind of lost. Ferdy says Nico playing this weekend. It hasn't been confirmed, but I'm optimistic. It sounds like it, unless you've heard some news that I haven't heard. So let's go to Texans. Let's see. Make that a little bit longer. I get so pumped up on here. I try to, answer all the questions. I talk too fast and my mouth gets dry, man. Let's go to offense. Man, what am I doing by game? There we go. That'll work. That's one way to do it. Let me get this window moved around, but yeah, it's kind of weird. It's crazy, from my perspective, creating content, I was stressing as far as the short week, normally with the normal week, I'm stressing, trying to freaking get all the content out. The Texans, shout out to the Texans organization. They provide us with so much content, but the John Harris and Mark Vandermeer interviews, if y'all don't watch the full form ones, y'all definitely need to. They put them on their YouTube, every Monday with D'Amico and pretty much every Tuesday with Caserio. For about 20 minutes each, but basically I watch those each week and clip the parts that I think are important. And then every week we got, the power rankings and pundits talking about us. So last week was crazy, going from a Sunday win against the Colts and then, dunking on all those fans for sweeping them. I was checking on my bookmarks for all the people that were talking mess to me, and then turn around a game on Thursday. And then you go from that to all right, things have kind of settled down. So it's kind of been nice to have this mini bye too as a fan. But now I'm sitting here man, we haven't played in forever. I can't wait for us to play. So let's see. But let's see right here. Yeah, we've already covered those. But yeah, the grades. Mixon, he's been a baller, dude. Pass protection, not that great, he's been a pretty good overall pass protector. It's kind of up and down, but it may be a limited sample size. It says 13 pass reps. So, yeah, again, the pass protection is not just one thing, which is not very encouraging. Tunsil, this was probably one of his worst games, and he still graded well. And then I should point that out, too. That's the other thing, too, about the interior O-line being the worst in the league. It is they're so bad and give up so many mistakes that, now whenever a tackle gives up a mistake, Titus or Laramie, it's magnified. So normally they could give those up a handful of times a game, won't be an issue. But now it's if these guys are messing up, then you have to be perfect to even make this, bearable. So that's something I kind of noticed too. It shows it here. Who would have thought Tunsil had the worst game ever, but he played pretty dang good. 86 run blocking. I haven't watched the full all 22. I've watched a majority of them, but there were clips of him mauling last week and run blocking. So that's a new development. He's not typically a good run blocker, so that's cool to see. JJ Taylor, bro, he looked pretty good. He, I think I tweeted it out, but I don't know if he fooled you guys, but he would come in there and I would swear he was Joe Mixon. I was wait, he's too small. But the way his numbers are and the way he ran, he looks like a little miniature Joe Mixon. But he was effective, man. And the grades show it. Yeah, Tank Dell had a great game. His stats went up solely because he got more targets. So, he's the same guy. It's just there's only one ball, So it'll be interesting to see when Nico comes back, if he's still getting his fair share now that he's kind of gotten back involved. Obviously, Diggs is gone, so he probably will. Woods played decent. Titus played decent. Again, you would have thought he played bad because he gave up a couple of pressures, but it's because it just added on to what the interior did. Blake Fisher played decent. only in 6 snaps. But I mean, he's an option where we got a lot of options in the O line. So I think at this point going forward, if there's any struggles, everything's on the table. Fisher, you can play right tackle. Heidish, you can play guard. Fisher, you can play guard. If Shaq has not played good this year to his standards. If he continues to struggle, his grade right here, he was a 40.8 grade, and he did not play good. So if Shaq, it's tough because Shaq's a veteran, but we can't mess around with this shit anymore. If O-line's going to continue to mess up, we have to exhaust all options, trying every player at different positions and see what works until something sticks. But yeah, Schultz, decent graded game. This is surprising. Schultz had an 84 pass blocking grade. That's a silver lining. I feel like he hasn't been that good at pass blocking this year, but Schultz, I don't know if he's always been that sluggish or slow, but this year he just seems off, man. He doesn't have that juice. I suspect he's injured. I don't know. I know he had an injury to begin the year, but he just doesn't seem like the same Schultz from last year. Stover had an okay game. Pass blocking was better, so that's a good sign. The tight ends are getting better at pass blocking. Scruggs overall not great, but his pass blocking was decent, so his run blocking was bad. Sims, Kenyon Green had a 9.2 passer rating. Man, I really feel bad for him for his injury. I hope he heals quick. I hope he, sticks on with the team if he's not with the Texans and finds a good career. I never wish an injury on anybody. Sarah, why do I feel like they're going to wait until last minute to put Kenyon on IR and designate Nico to return last minute? That's a good point. But I don't believe Nico can practice if he's not activated from IR. And if that's the case, then I wouldn't see that because I don't think they're going to have Nico not practice all week and then play in the game, if I interpreted that correctly. Mike says, yeah, CJ's been sacked 30 damn times. Can't continue. It's crazy, bro. Crazy. And the hits he's taken, man. And this is a gripe we all have too, and maybe we're overdoing it, but how bad is it? He got sacked 8 times, and I may be wrong, but I don't recall a single O-lineman helping him up. What are we doing, man? That's the tough part about it. Hutch did not grade well. So that's part of it too, you got X playing X for Nico, and he's playing at this level, but when Nico's in, he's, a 90 grade. So that's a huge difference right there alone. Nico is a big factor. Mechie did not grade well. Again, limited clips I saw, it didn't seem like he played good, but I will say it's hard for us to really evaluate this wide receiver 3 position this last week with the production we had from pass protection. Mechie looked like he was open a handful of times. That touchdown, CJ missed him on another one, and I feel like I saw him open a couple more times where he didn't see him. So Stroud, I think this might be his worst graded game via PFF, which is a big byproduct of the pressure, but yeah, it's tough. But yeah, he hasn't played well, but it's hard to blame him. Like I said, who can you expect to play good when you're getting hit within a second of your play? And Teagan, you're supposed to come in and pass block and didn't do that well. 14 snaps, Kendrick Green, that's crazy. I thought he did good. When he first came in, we went from, watching Kenyon getting whooped. It's all right, we got fresh blood in. And his first pass block rep was pretty good. And then I think he did pretty good for most of the first half. But then second half, he didn't look too good. But a 0.4 pass blocking grade for Kendrick Green, that's crazy. Maybe if he were to be a starter, if he had more time to prepare, or now being second string, he would do better. Also, that's the product of going against Quinnen Williams, one of the best interior in the league. But yeah, that's not good. We'll go over to defense. Let me see what my boy Brandon. Sarah said yes in regards to the IR stuff. Space. Let's say space age. We have to be careful with Nico's hammy. You don't want a Dak situation for our best receiver. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, he had this hamstring pop up earlier in the year, like on a Friday, played that game, and then the next game played and got hurt in that game. So he probably should have rested back then. But I agree. I mean, and I'm sure, he gets flack from people for being injury prone, but I think it just depends on the type of build you are. I mean, look at AJ Brown. Him and AJ Brown are like similar big X receivers. It's got these longer frames, longer builds, longer big hamstring muscles. So I mean, it's the give and take, man. I mean, trying to, keep that thing right. Brandon says 18 mil and can't even help up the guy you are supposed to be protecting. Sounds terrible. Hard to argue that. Space Age, I just described, didn't know you were on YouTube. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, if y'all didn't know, like, I don't know what platforms y'all are on, but if you could just support me on all the platforms. I'm at Texans Commenter on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And then I'm at Houston Stressans on Instagram and Facebook. And then obviously my website right up there, HoustonStressans.com. I need to keep doing work on it, but I really do feel like the website, like my goal for it is like, it's like a great place for fans and content creators to connect. And I think it's something that has a lot of potential that will provide a lot of value for all of us. So there's features that I'm continuing to push out there, but like my vision is like having like a Discord on there, which I do have. I just haven't promoted it myself and done it myself, but where we can have dialogue on there, game day threads or topics, kind of like how Reddit or Discord is. And it doesn't mean that you have to use it to replace all these other things that we like to use. It's just another place where it's, one source. So there's that. You can create a profile. At the very least, if y'all don't mind, if you go to my website, I'll pull it up in a second. You can create a profile. And I think it's a good replacement for Linktree, which a lot of people pay for, but just make a free profile, essentially a website on my website where you can list all of your socials, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And then you can just post it in the link in your bios if someone asks for your stuff. So that's, at the very least, that's what that's for. And then I am working on like a content creators page or like a directory, like who to follow, all their stuff. It has the video player on there where it takes videos from YouTube. So that way you can just watch it all in one. We got playlists like a Nico Collins playlist, a Stroud playlist, a D'Amico Ryans playlist. I write the articles. If anybody wants to write, let me know. I think it's a good way to get practice, and something I enjoy doing myself. Robert says, I rewatched every Kendrick Green snap today. I believe he had 3 really bad pass blocking snaps. He fights hard and never gives up on a play. Unlike other O-linemen, I thought his run blocking looked great. I'm shocked that PFF is that low. I am too, man. So I haven't like fully rewatched him specifically, but like I intently watched him when he was in the game, and I thought he did good. Like, yes, you're right. There was a couple bad ones, and I agree with you. Like, he at least like showed that fight and that will and that want to that like we haven't seen from very much. So I mean, I agree. I don't know how that grade's that bad. I thought he wasn't bad, and that was after him getting messed around of like thinking he's going to play and not getting the reps. I mean, I agree 100%, Robert. Mike says, same. I thought Kendrick did better than Kenyon for sure. I mean, I agree. But then now, so now he's the backup, you would think, in this scenario. But so that's good to know that he's got some reps in there. But yeah, defense will bust through these. Henry T, defense did not grade that good overall, which is surprising, I guess. I mean, it was an okay game, but Henry T did okay, except his tackling was bad. Petrie did pretty good, which is surprising. Coverage is not as bad as you would think, 67, but his tackling and run defense was excellent. Kamari's been a stud pretty much all year. Coverage, tackling pretty good. Daniil Hunter graded not well. Settle, by the way, is like one of my new favorite Texans. I love his interviews in the locker room. Typically Landry shares them, but Settle's a dog, dude. He'll talk that talk and he'll walk that walk too. Like, you watch him play, like you talk about a dog with some attitude, like he does that. Tim Settle, man, he's awesome. Sarah says maybe they got Kendricks mixed up. that could be the case. Very much could be the case. The KGs got the wrong KG. Autry, second game back, got a couple sacks. Did not grade the best, but I mean, again, PFF, it's not the end all be all. We're just kind of saying like if we agree or not. Like we don't agree with the grade on Kendrick. We seem to not agree on that. RK Shizzo on IG says settles a dog. Facts. He's a dog, dude. How can you not like that guy? But I mean, that's enough on that. I mean, if there's any more on that, just let me know in the comments. But I think it's time to look at the matchup with the Lions. We can start with the PFF little overview here. We'll take a quick break, like intermission. I'm gonna put up I'll put up some kind of advertisement for a second. I'm gonna grab a water. I'll go through my website real quick, and then we'll go into the Lions game, which I think we will win. I don't know how y'all feel, but I'm blessing on that. I think we can do it. And y'all know me too. Like I'm probably more optimistic than most, probably too much at times, but I really do think we can win this game for sure. But let me see here. I'm gonna put this. Man, I guess the ad quit playing. That was quick.
Dominican trap.
All right. Yes, I got my website up. We'll go through this real quick. Let's see. Yeah, so I had mentioned, obviously you got like most of your main stuff right here, like articles. So I started writing with the Sporting News. That was my first time writing. That was earlier this spring. Really enjoyed it. They had some changes, and so it kind of phased out. And then with this site, I just decided to do it myself. So, I mean, I can write however often I want. If I could, I would write a lot more. It's just tough, like going between creating content and writing, and the writing takes up some time. But if y'all could, like, read them, I would appreciate that. The one thing at the very least I would really appreciate is to subscribe to my newsletter. I'm trying to build that up. I try to I know y'all don't care to see stuff like this. Like when I post, I try to give y'all just the good stuff, like content, and not spam y'all with my own stuff, which essentially is text and stuff anyways. But if y'all could, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, it's free. There's no set thing to it. I'm too disorganized and there's too much stuff going on to set myself to Wednesdays at whatever. But I try to do it once a week, Wednesday or Thursday. But I definitely, would like to do it more. But at the very least, I think it's basically a lot of the stuff we're talking about here, recaps and previews, and I'll put articles in there, and I'll put videos of clips and content that I think is helpful. Sky on IG says, read your stuff every week on HoustonStressans.com. Good stuff. I really appreciate that, bro. It means a lot. I guess one thing too, on the articles, I'd like for this to become a community where we can all interact on, and anyone on here who wants to start writing can write, and we can, share stuff with each other. But one thing you could do is, if y'all don't mind, if you like it, it would help me a lot if you can comment on the bottom of the articles. You can write comments. It's something I haven't promoted, but that would help a lot, just with the website and kind of getting it boosted up a little bit. I would really appreciate that. But let's see here. What else do we got? Sports Social says Settle might get a few more watches this season. His theme song should be the home improvement song. It's Tim Time. Yeah, I mean, he's playing good too, man. It's so funny. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I mean, obviously he never was bad, but he must have been not a good scheme fit. How many defensive linemen have we got that were looked over, and then they come into our defense and they're coached a certain way, and now they're like world beaters. Brandon says Bucks beat the Lions. Just got it exactly. So I mean, I've said this about Goff too. Like Goff is on a crazy streak right now, but I mean, this is almost like y'all remember Dak Prescott when he was a rookie. Like, how good did Dak Prescott look? Because he had like one of the best O lines ever. So like they just ran the ball. Everything was third and short, second and short. When he passed, he had all day. That's kind of what's happened with Goff. Like, I'm not saying this to discredit Goff. Goff is good. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, but I think he can be rattled. So like Brandon said, like that Bucks game, he looked bad. Like the picks he was throwing when he was under pressure, he had 3 or 4 throws that game that I was like, damn, like this. And then all of a sudden it changes, and now he's like, he had that perfect game. So, he's definitely exposable, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Space Age, Lions pass defense is ranked 29th. Facts. So that's what I'm going to dive into. They're gettable, man. I mean, I see it as a shootout. Sarah says we like it. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, we like it. We blessing. Head of the table. What do y'all think about the O lineman we signed? I haven't really dove into it, but I think we signed 3 in total and a new one today from the Patriots. We got depth and options, and then honestly, like the position that we're all in, if things continue to suck, we'll take anybody to try somebody new. We just want fresh faces if it continues to be that way. Space Age. Maybe the Texans are completely healthy by playoff time. We are getting healthy right now, too. So, RK Shizzo says he subscribes to the newsletter. I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, if you don't mind, tell your friends, family, whoever, subscribe to the free newsletter. Follow me, please. I would appreciate it. Cameron Horn says we activate Nico this week. I have a good sense that we do, but I don't know. But I really hope we do. It sounds like it from some of the stuff I read. Oh, okay. Sarah says I was questioning about showing. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it, Sarah. Really appreciate you. But yeah, just subscribe if you don't mind. There's articles on the homepage too. Let's see if I click the homepage. I kind of have I've been kind of delaying on this. I'll try and be on the ball, but every game I'll have like a preview and a recap. And typically I'll put a video up there too with it. Let's see if it has a video on this one or not. Yeah, so I'll have like a video with the highlights. I have like a write-up preview. It's got like my own stuff on it.
And they are able to pick up.
But anyways, like a preview, it's just like your basic preview stuff, basic recap stuff, and then it's got the score. So that's just, one little thing right there. And then back on the homepage, the articles are on there. If you aren't on social media, I got, like my Instagram feed here where you can watch videos right within the player. What are some common threads you're seeing? So you can kind of just skip through them. So it's just, if you don't feel like opening up an app, it's all right here.
You're welcome. Hey, it's my.
I post a lot, so there's endless content on there. El Sirius, Osa, dude. That's my guy, Sirius. RK Shizzo, love your content on IG. Keep it up. Keep doing your thing. I appreciate you, man. I really do. If y'all have any feedback too, like on content, if I ever miss anything, my DMs are always open. Or if you just have a question or want to chat, hit me up. If I ever miss anything, if there's like a interview you want me to post or clip, let me know. Or if you have feedback for me, like on this stuff or whatever it is, hit me up. Like I'm here to help the fans. Like I'm a fan who goes through all this stuff, and I'm just taking that extra step to kind of, as Sean Pendergast, who's become a friend of mine, said on Payne and Pendergast a couple weeks ago, I'm here to feed you the good stuff. Let me do all the hard work and look at all the BS, and I'll send you what's pertinent. Head of the table, my wish was to see Christian and Aziz play together. I'm guessing that ain't happening. I know there was a report today saying maybe back by the Dolphins game. That's why there's been a blessing of the play of Henry To'oTo'o to keep that ability to keep pushing him along. But there's also a videos tab on the website. This will be like more of the YouTube stuff. I'm still refining this, but it still has pretty current. I update it daily. Like I got my playlist. That's like all my stuff. You can just scroll through here and play stuff. Basically this show, a little Inception right here. Watch one of my old shows on my show. There's me. I look better on this camera than that one, I guess. But then I got like a national media playlist. There's all the pundits talking about us. Press conferences. You got CJ. I got it done by players. So this is just like another way to make it easier for fans to find different content. And I'll continue to improve this, but that's a resource for you guys. But the last thing on the site, I need to make this different, but right next to the subscribe button, there's like a logo right here. I'm logged in, so it shows my icon, but it should be like a person. If you click that, let me log out. If you click that, then there you go. You can log in. You can create a profile. And then if you create the profile like I did, there's a Discord. And let me see if I shouldn't have logged out, but okay, I'm logged in now. So if you're logged in, there's a Discord where there'll be forums. So I'm gonna make it more like easily accessible and start pushing this, but you can just have chats in here. You can start different stuff. It's gotten a little bit, and I'll create groups on here. But then on your profile, this is the one thing I think is a benefit to everybody if you're like a content creator, but you can put in all your social links, your TikTok, X, YouTube, Instagram, and then now you have a link to your profile up top in the address bar. You can just copy and paste that. But appreciate y'all bearing through that. I know it's not the funnest for y'all to look through, but I appreciate you guys. Head of the table says, just curious about how you got into everything. Did you go to college or just curious how you started everything? Yeah, I got my undergrad at Stephen F. Austin, played football there for 4 years, and then I graduated and got my master's at Incarnate Word in San Antonio and played football there for a couple of years as well. But yeah, educated, but I just kind of figure stuff out. I'm in a position too with work where I have time and flexibility to kind of spend time on this stuff. So, just fortunate, man. Brandon, so week 10, no JJ Watt. I guess we can truly confirm no return now. Yeah, I guess I forgot. We kind of been, with how our D line has been playing, we've kind of been forgetting about the return of JJ Watt. But knowing him, he would probably want to come back with like a couple weeks left. So, but at this point, I don't know if we need him. Head of the table, my wish was to see Christian. Yeah, just check that off. Over on IG, Skyborg Dude, major props on the website. It's a really well curated fan site that covers all angles. Appreciate that. Yeah, if you don't mind, like, I know there's a bunch of stuff out there, but like I said, subscribe, profile. I want it, like, my vision for it, like, it could be something great for all of us. I think Clutch Fans for the Rockets has one where it's like a big forum thing. That's my goal, where it's like we can all just have, one place to go. But yeah, anyhow, let's get into the this is the fun part. I think we all started to like this about I guess I'll start with the PFF preview. Let's see, share this tab instead. So Lions 7-1, Texans 6-3. Is this telling me I need to log in on PFF? Or I'm logged in, yeah. Okay. So we're 3.5-point dogs. Which, if you're a betting person, I think that's good odds right now. I'm hoping Nico plays. If you think that too, I would bet it now, because I would guarantee you if Nico practices tomorrow or like the news breaks that he's going to play, I bet you that line goes down to like 2, I would assume. Toaster says, FK it, JJ Watt to the Lions. Nah, we good, fam. He's coming to Houston. Space Age, I just posted that on Facebook. Hughes is older than Watt, but we ride with Hughes. Yep. I mean, we got Hughes back, and then we have Mario Edwards, but we also who else was it? We just activated Jerry Hughes, and then we just got Dylan Hortz. We got a lot of solid, underrated pieces on the D-line, especially on the edge, too. Skyboard, Borg, anything beats the subreddit. I've seen you in there politely fighting with the numbskulls about play breakdowns. Yeah, I mean, that's my downfall is I argue too much, I guess. I think I'm a know-it-all. I'm probably wrong half the time, but so I try to interact on the subreddit too. But no, I mean, for my limited experience, it seems like Reddit's got some cool people in there too. It's just funny how everyone kind of has like their own little medium they're on. But anyhow, on PFF, some cool stuff on here. It'll kind of show you the money there. We're not really looking at that. I want to look at, you got injuries, players that are out in their grades. They got obviously Hutch and Barnes on IR, but M. Rodriguez, a linebacker, is questionable. He seems to be a decent linebacker, 62 ranked WAR. Another linebacker with a questionable injury for his head, I assume concussion, I would hope. And then a couple guys on IR, so they're relatively healthy. Nico, third best receiver according to PFF. IR, please come back. Diggs was 11th IR. I mean, shit, dude. Jake Hanson's questionable. Aziz, he practiced today. That means he'll probably play. I think Aziz coming back is massive. Jimmy Ward practiced. He'll be back. That's massive. Jeff Okuda is back in practice. Limited. That's massive. No Diddy on all those. And Patterson coming back from a concussion. You would imagine he practiced today. He's probably going to play. Massive. No Diddy. But yeah, and then they kind of have this stuff here. The overall rank, they have the Lions as the second rank. And this is their own stuff. So again, it's not the end-all be-all. But for reference, they have the Lions at the second best ranked team. We're the 12th. Their offense is second. Our defense is 11th. I think that's bullshit. Our defense is much better than that. Their offense is 9th. Ours is 16th. Wow, they had their defense at second. That's crazy, dude. The Lions defense is ranked number 2 overall and the Texans 11th. What are we doing here? That shit is so wrong. We're not going to read that shit anymore. But this is cool too. Straight to schedule played. We played the 20th hardest. They've played the 23rd. So that's a factor too. Yeah, they're 7-1, but how hard has their schedule been? This is interesting too. The breakdown of pass to run. You would think, with the criticisms we have that we run the ball every play, but it's not true. We pass it 62% of the time. The Lions are basically 50%. The quarterback ratings, CJ, as great as a year Goff has had and as bad as a game CJ had last game grade-wise, with putrid O-line play, is still a better quarterback graded-wise. And could you imagine if he had the Lions O-line, what he'd be doing right now? He would be absolutely insane. Passer rating when clean, that's surprising that Goff is 124 and Stroud is 97. Passer rating under pressure, so Goff's passer ratings are better. Big time throw percentage, CJ has higher, almost by 2%. And this is the difference too, in my opinion. Turnover worthy play percentage, Goff 3.27. CJ is still the same guy. He still takes care of the ball despite being under pressure. So that's good on that. We'll get into this is the fun stuff that we like. So I will say, like, my keys to the game, I guess it'll kind of formulate as we go through this, but my keys to the game on defense, which is probably obviously the biggest key for us, is to protect CJ Stroud, get the O-line short up. I'm confident in that. But then on defense is going to be stop the run, like I alluded to earlier. When an offense is able to get into 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts, it opens the playbook and kind of puts a defense in no man's land between are they running or are they passing. And the Lions have an awesome O-line, and they have probably the best 1-2 punch at running back in the league. They're both good at breaking tackles, so tackling's paramount. But as I mentioned earlier, Aziz is back. We've missed him. He's an absolute force, especially in the run game. Jimmy Ward is a sneaky addition back into the defense, especially in the run game. He's a head buster. RK Shizzo says, what are your thoughts on the O-line vet signing to the practice squad? I really don't know much about that guy. I like it just because we got a body in. We'll see what happens. I really haven't read much up on him. I think I saw a post where his grades on PFF were average. And we got Nathan says, are we stressing for Nico? I'm blessing. I may be naive and dumb, but I guess from the tweet I saw from Aaron, like, that made me think that, he'll be ready to go. So, so key is to stop the run game. I think we're one of the best run defenses in the league. I guess we can go through stats. Let's see. Is it not in here? Okay. Let's go to like the overall stats first. Team stats, team defense, season leader, and let's check that out. So Texans have the second ranked defense in yards per game total at 281. The Lions are 22nd, but yet they're ranked number 2 in PFF and we're 11. Like, how does that make any sense? Like, obviously, I know situational stuff that's more important matters. Third downs and red zone. I think our red zone defense isn't the best, but at the brunt of it is like we're shutting people down, dude. And so we'll go down a step further. Pass yards per game. Let's do it this way. We are the third best pass defense in the league at 158 yards a game in a passing league. Is all we give up. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. The Lions are the 29th ranked passing defense in the league in terms of yards per game. 250 yards per game. That's a massive advantage for us. Like, people to see Lions, like, oh no, Lions. Like, you dig into this stuff, it's a good matchup for us. And so rush yards per game. Let's see here. Neither team is as dominant. We are 12th in the league at 114. We are better than that. I would say that's been inflated with the absence on the injuries we've had with mostly Aziz, but also Henry, and then some defensive line too. So I would imagine we're going to trend up on that. I think we're better than 12th. And then the Lions are – where'd you go, Lions? Okay, so the Lions are a terrible pass defense and a pretty good rush defense. 106 yards per game. So there's that matchup there. And then the last thing I like to check on here is the quarterback pressure rate percentage. So basically how often we pressure the quarterback. Texans are number 2 in the league, 42%. We're only 0.8% behind the Rams for number 1. So we get after the quarterback. And you can tell in a game too. And then this is the kicker. The Lions, our O-line sucks, but guess what? They don't really get pressure, 31.2%. So that's another area that I saw. I'm like, we're good. Over on IG, RK says Toa Toa is showing a lot of promise with his open field tackling. I agree. That was something he said he worked on and focused on a lot this offseason. So I definitely agree. Sports Social says all we need is average from the O-line. For sure, dude. I mean, at this rate, how bad the O-line was is I'll take slightly below average. But I agree. If we get average from the O-line, especially against this defense, Robert says Zach Thomas has a pass grade of 61 on PFF, 84 snaps, 2 sacks allowed. You know what? That's not incredible, but it's better than like a 20 or 30 grade. So, we'll take it, bro. And then he says overall 61. Check that. Appreciate you, Robert. The handy stat. So, I mean, yeah, that's, again, PFF, not end all be all, but it's, usually spot on like for an overall picture. Yeah, so not a bad signing. He's a good fill. Facts. We got options. I got options. Aradon on Archie says, oh, Archie, what's up? Texans defense is more than solid. Facts. I mean, the Texans defense it's elite, dude. I think it's a Super Bowl caliber defense for sure. But yeah, if we go over let's check out the stats on the offense real quick, team offense. And we'll do the same kind of thing. We'll check out yards per game. Lions are 7th with 369 nice yards per game. Texans are 11th with 348. It's a miracle that with how bad our offense has been, that we are still a top 11 ranked offense in terms of yards per game. And we've yet to like really play like a game up to our standards. So my prediction is O-line improves steadily and gets to at least a decent level of play, and we start to see CJ light it up. I think that we'll start seeing some 300-plus yard passing games starting this week. And so I think we'll get higher and higher in these stats here. So pass yards per game. Let's see. This is like overrated when the Seahawks and Cowboys have the highest amount of pass yards per game. Maybe it's because you're playing from behind too much. We got to scroll down a little bit. So as good as Goff is, we have more pass yards per game. We're 13th with 221. again, as bad as our offense is, that's pretty crazy. As bad as it seems. Lions 217, they're 15th, so we got a better passing offense. As good as you hear about the Lions and their passing offense, yards per game wise, we're better. Let's go to rush yards per game. This is, I'm sure, where we're going to see the difference. Lions 152. That's no surprise there. They're number 6 in the league. And the Texans are number 11, and that's with was it 4 weeks of no Mixon? And then if you factor in that half game you missed at 126, that's pretty damn good. I mean, last year at this time it was bottom quartile, so that's definitely encouraging. Skyborg says, or RK says, Locksmith has been having a great rookie year, and Skyborg says facts. He has. I mean, it's just tough as a fan, especially when you watch defensive backs and you see like 1 or 2 plays and like sticks in your head, like, oh, they suck. But it's like, you have to remember, like, that stuff happens. So, I mean, there's been plays where they've all been beat, but like overall, like as far as consistency, and we'll see it when I go through like the little snippets here, Kamari has been as good as you can ask for. And I will say this too, I guess I'm just kind of just letting you know all my thoughts, this kind of scatterbrain, but Jimmy Ward coming back is huge. He can help stop the run. We can go dime package now with safeties. We can put 4 safeties on the field. But Jeff Okudah is also a sneaky addition back. So obviously last week, when we get in these 3rd and short situations, that's when the Jets beat us with Devontae Adams in the slot with Petrie covering him. It's kind of not a good matchup. But so the key, stopping the run, get them in 3rd and longs. And then now if you get in these known passing downs and you don't need Petrie in that slot position to cover the run, you can now here's an option. You can now put Okudah at the outside corner and put Lassiter in the slot to cover Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because otherwise, that's going to be the one big thing on defense that I'm going to worry about is Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe the best slot receiver in the game, on potentially Jalen Petrie. Or maybe Jimmy Ward covers him some. Or the one thing I would like to do for sure is if we're going to run cover 1 and it's not a zone coverage like cover 2 or 4 or 3, and we have to have man-to-man coverage on Amon-Ra St. Brown the slot, is cover 1 with that high safety, shade that help to him as well. So that way Petrie or whoever it is in the slot covering Amon-Ra can be physical and worry only about 5 to 8 yard in out breaking routes and not worry about getting beat deep and let the safety cover that. But so I suspect that's what we'll do. We'll cloud the safety over to help, essentially double teaming him. But what that's going to do is what we need to look out for is Jameson Williams, who's now back for the Lions, big, tall, fast receiver, will be one-on-one on the backside. And so Stingley, now your job is to cover him one-on-one backside. But J-Mo, in my opinion, will have the opportunities to get some deep balls. So that's 3 ways we can mitigate covering Amon-Ra in the slot. Keep Petrie in, but have cloud coverage over the top. Put Jimmy in there, see if he does any good. Okudah at corner, Lassiter in the slot. He played slot some in college, so we got options there. That's some ways to kind of try to bottle that up. But RK says, I believe Mixon could go off on the Lions. His vision is probably top 5 in the NFL. I can't argue that. I think he can too. And his vision is insane. I agree. Mike says, that's crazy. Before the Jets game, we were ranked 12th offensively. After the loss, 11th. That is crazy. We had, I don't know if you saw earlier, we had 300-plus yards. That's what I was saying. Like, that loss wasn't that bad. Like, we moved the ball. And that's kind of been the thing this year is, like, we've moved the ball. And oddly enough, red zone hasn't been the issue. It's just, like, the middle of the field to the 20. And it's really just getting sacks and getting negative plays and penalties. It's been different stuff all year, but mostly O-line sacks or turnovers. Mike says, need to stop Laporta and check as well. That is true. Laporta is a beast, and he's being underutilized this year. So back to the stats here. I think we went over the rush yards per game. So both teams are pretty good at rush yards per game. So we're both, the offenses are pretty even, passing wise, we're pretty close, and rushing wise, we're pretty close. and we have the edge total yards. But then you go to pressure rates. This is the flip side of what it was. Rich on IG says we're gonna get smashed Sunday. Damn, bro. I don't think we will, but I could be wrong. I may just be, ignorant, I guess. Texans have the third worst pressure rate percentage, 41.3%. That's no surprise there. And then I guarantee if we scroll down probably towards the bottom, the Lions. This is surprising. So their O-line is dominant run game, but they're not as good as you would think pass pro. They are gettable. They're 16th. They're at 34.8% pressure rate. So we have a chance to get after Goff in this game. Rich says we'll be 6-4, but I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we lose, it's going to suck, but you're right. I mean, 6-4 is still not the worst in the world, but I think we're going to win, so I'm not going to entertain that right now. Brandon, Jets game, an indicator of how we perform versus top 10 defenses still. It's tough to tell. I really do think that the Kenyon Green experiment in that game specifically against I don't think the Lions are a top 10 defense. And they don't have a Quinnen Williams. They don't have a Will McDonald. They don't have Hassan Reddick. They got Zaire, homeboy they just got from the Browns, and that's it. Skyborg says we bless him. That's facts on IG. Yeah, Rich says, sir, I love the Texans, but from an honest perspective, our O-line is garbage. Yeah, they are garbage, but we got changes, and we're playing a D-line that's not near what we've played. So, but yeah, I mean, I may be wrong, but, if you want to keep stressing, bro, that's on you, man. Let's see here. Let's go to the scores. If we go to here. So we'll go through this and we'll be done. Keep asking questions if you got any. But at a glance, points per game, Lions 32.2, number one in the league. Texans 23, 17th. Point differential, Lions plus 110, number one in the league. For us, we're plus 1, 17th. Record in close games. This holds some water. They're 3-1. We're 5-2. So we've played in 7 close games. They've played in 4. So if this is a close game, I think we have the edge. We've been there, done that. I'll get to the I said earlier in the AFC South roundtable, I think Texans 31, Lions 24. I think it's a shootout. And I think that our defense will be better than theirs. I think we win this game. I'm optimistic. Robert says the Lions have won last 5 by an average of 20 points. They're averaging 10 more points than the Texans. Yeah, I wonder how much of that I'll pull up their schedule too and go through that. That's a good thing to look at. I wonder how much of that's from that Titans game. They had a pretty good one on there. Rich says, good night, sir. Love this IG page. Keep the lives coming. Hey, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your honesty. And, hopefully I'm right in this scenario. But like you said, if not, if we're 6-4, it's still fine. But I appreciate the support, brother. But yeah, I'll share this real quick. I'm kind of going on a rabbit hole here. But yeah, so the Lions schedule, they beat the Packers by 10. That was a very impressive road win. Game could have been a little closer, but nonetheless, that was very impressive. They basically quiet the critics about playing outside in bad weather with Goff, so that was very impressive. Against a good Packers team that beat us in that same stadium. But, I mean, when we're talking about point differential, they beat the Titans 52-14. So, I mean, it's a little bit inflated. They beat the Vikings by 2 points. Obviously, we lost to the Vikings too, 31-29. And then the Cowboys, 47-9. So their point differentials are skewed. So 2 games is where that all comes from. They beat the Cowboys 42-29. They're terrible. Titans 52-14. I'm sorry, that was the Seahawks 42-29. The Cowboys 47-9. And then the Titans 52-14. So, yeah, that's 3 games of blowouts. The Seahawks aren't that bad, but the Cowboys and Titans are pretty bad. First game of the year, they won 26-20 against the Rams. They lost their next game at home to the Bucks, 20-16. Goff looked bad in that game. I think that was a game he had like 3 picks. They beat Arizona at home, 20-13. I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, they're good, they're great, but it's not like they're light years ahead of us. I get, like, you know, because of the way they've played recently and how our O-line looked last week, but I don't think it's some blowout by them by any means. I'm not saying anybody's saying that, but in that Bucks game, Jared Goff had 2 interceptions. It felt like more. I remember watching it on Red Zone, but on the year, Jared Goff is 1,800 yards, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and his QBR is 58. So, I mean, his QBR is not as high as you would think. Yeah, anyhow, getting sidetracked there, but let's see. Get out of this one. Share this tab instead. 7-3 sounds great. Blessing, facts. And it'll be crazy too. Like, I mean, you know, I could just be overly optimistic and we could get the doors knocked off of us. But if we do win this game, like, think about how much like the sentiment changes for us as fans. It goes from, you know, season's over to Super Bowl contender. So hopefully that's the case. Things can change quickly. Mike says, good, bro. Love your content. I'm following on YouTube now, too, and subscribe to your news page. Keep up the great work. I appreciate you, bro. I really appreciate that. But, yeah, I'll try and get through this. I know we're going long. But turnover differential, they are first in the league with +11. We're 10th with +3. Penalties, we've been the worst in the league, but we're slowly getting better. 68 penalties, 28th. Lions 55, they're 16th. Texans fan 81 on IG says we can win. We just got to stay humble. True that. And then RK says seriously going to be a defensive game. Yeah, and so they kind of have like some key advantages. Lions overall passing efficiency is number 4 against our defense number 6, so there's no advantage there. It says they have a rushing advantage because they're number 5, we're number 16. Pressure rate, we have a big advantage. We went through that. They are number 17th on O-line. We are number 2 on D-line, so that's a big advantage from our D-line. And then it gives them all these advantages on defense. Overall passing, we're 17. They're 3 on defense. They have some good safeties, Carl Joseph and Brian Branch. He's a dog. Overall passing efficiency, we're number 22, and they're 20 on defense. Rushing. So their rush defense isn't great either. But, you know, this is kind of not accurate, number 22 for us, because we had a lot of games without Mixon. We're a whole different offense without him. Pressure rate, you know, we're 30th or 25th, so it's a good matchup for our O-line to get right. I'll go through a couple of these that I thought were interesting. Let's see. So this is the key to the game. This is a new one. They just added this. I didn't see this earlier. Jared Goff is 1-4 since 23 when he has 2+ giveaways in a game, and 18-2 when he has less than 2. Texans defense has forced 10 turnovers since week 6, second in the NFL. So stop the run, get them in predictable situations, passing situations. Their O-line is not, they're middle of the pack pass rush. Our D-line is elite at pass rush. Get to the quarterback, cause some picks, fumbles, sacks. We win the game. That's it. I mean, that's the key. And so this was something I had mentioned right here with Nico to show that the O-line itself will do better just from Nico being on the field. Pray that he plays. Stroud has recorded a higher passer rating, higher completion percentage, more yards per attempt, thrown to open targets more often, and generated more EPA with Nico Collins on the field this season. Over the last 2 seasons, Stroud and Collins have connected for 309 yards on dropbacks, lasting them longer than 4 seconds, the most by any QB receiver duo during that span. So this isn't the stat that I thought it was, but that second part, you know, that means that they are great in the scramble drills, the way I interpret that. The Amon-Ra Brown stat is crazy. He's caught the last 30 targets from Goff. That's insane. That's going to end. We caused a lot of PBUs. I feel like our DBs will be all over him and they'll, knock the ball down. So that'll change with us. Danielle Hunter is leading the league in pressures generated. This is crazy. So what I'm about to read here will show you that Danielle Hunter is being unlocked in our system. There was a video earlier in training camp when they asked him what it's like for him to play in this D'Amico Ryans defense. He said, it's awesome. They just tell me, just go. So he literally just goes. He's not worrying about all this other BS. He just rushes the passer. And so as a result of the just go mentality, he leads the league in total pressures. He's recorded his best marks in pressure rate, 20%, quick pressure rate, 8%, and average pass rush get off, 0.79 seconds. So he's just go. No bullshit, just go. His production has substantially improved from his previous averages, from 0.94 seconds to whatever it was there. So basically he's been unlocked. As good as he's been in the past, he's even better. Lions look to win 7 consecutive games for the first time since 2010. That shit ain't happening. Texans have allowed the 4th highest pressure rate against the blitz this season, 54%. So that's blitz pickup. We're terrible at it. That's O-line, quarterback, receivers, tight ends, running backs. It's all their fault. Pass protection, running hot routes, CJ throwing it, not throwing it. So we got to be better at that. And let's see what else we got. There was the Goff one. Let's see. So Goff is getting the ball out quick, it says. His passer rating, completion percentage, over expected, when under pressure. So he's, seeing pressure and getting rid of it. And then it shows that he gets the ball out quick, releasing the ball. And so the matchup is the Texans have forced the lowest completion percentage and 4th fewest yards per attempt when generating pressure. The Texans have generated pressure at the 2nd highest rate. So we generate a bunch of pressure, and when we do, we're the best at it. And then on the flip side, Goff has only been pressured 34%, and we pressure 42%. So he'll be pressured more than what he's used to, more than likely. But he has been pretty good when facing pressure, is what it says. Amon-Ra, we'll skip that one. And let's see, this one was Texans and the Lions. This one was interesting. Both the Texans, 58% third, and the Lions, 48% fourth, have utilized condensed formations at a top 5 rate this season. We've seen that. So I feel like people thought, the condensed formations were new to this year, but I noticed it last year. And as it says here, though, it's worked for us passing wise with CJ. But I think teams have adjusted to us using condensed formations, and that's when they're bringing those pressures off the edge with the nickels and corners. Shout out RK Shizzo on IZ. It's getting late. I've been talking too much on IG. Good night. We'll catch the next one. Appreciate you, bro. But yeah, so Texans have used condensed formations at the 4th highest rate in the league last season, their first season with Bobby Slowick as an OC, while the Lions have used condensed formations at a top 6 rate in each season under Ben Johnson. This season, Stroud has thrown for the 3rd most yards out of condensed formations, while Goff has thrown for the 4th most. So the offenses are pretty similar in that regard. I would still like to see us spread it out, even though we're getting success out of it. And then it talks about Gibbs. His speed is like one of the highest because basically he's not getting touched when he gets the ball. He has a great blocking. This was the stat I was trying to talk about earlier about Nico Collins helping mitigate the pass rush. CJ Stroud has faced the 2nd most quick pressures, 74. That's insane. And most unblocked pressures, 28. Terrible. While being pressured in 2.53 seconds on average this season. Imagine 7 back, 1, 2, and you get hit. Like, how can you play quarterback? The 9th quickest. Stroud has completed 8 of his 10 under pressure pass attempts for 194 yards, targeting Nico Collins this year. So he's 80% when under pressure throwing to Nico. That's insane. For 19 yards attempt, insane. But has gone just 51 for 98 for 614 yards to all other receivers on such passes. So it's when targeting Nico under pressure, 80%, any other receiver, 52%. Yards per attempt with Nico, 19, any other receiver, 6.3. I mean, that right there is going to mitigate a lot of the issues with the pass rush. And that's what we saw at the beginning of the year. That was like the thing I probably liked the most. There's one about Montgomery. Talks about him forcing missed tackles. So this is similar to Josh Jacobs with the Packers. Tackling is paramount. Aziz is back. This is crazy about Mixon. Let's see. I think it was this one. Yeah. So Mixon has rushed for over 100 yards in 4 straight games since returning from injury in week 6 and has generated plus 110 rushing yards over expected in that span, 4th most in the NFL. Mixon has recorded 310 rushing yards after contact week 6, 2nd most in the NFL. So Mixon's a beast. There's another one, too, that talks about like stacked boxes or something. This one was cool, too. I referenced it earlier. Lions have used jumbo personnel, 6+ O linemen at the 4th highest rate in the NFL this season, 7%. The Lions have used jumbo mostly on early downs, as 29 of the 36 plays in jumbo, 80% of them, have occurred on 1st and 2nd down. When in jumbo personnel, the Lions averaged 4.2 yards per play, 3rd most. So I was saying, like, we need to do the same shit. Like, all these tight ends that aren't blocking, put some extra linemen out there. Berto on IG says you going to the game Sunday. Yes, I will be there for sure. Let's see if I missed anything right here. I said the score prediction. Boy, Mike says Blessings 7-3 sounds great. Go Texans. Good, bro. Love your content on following YouTube. I guess I already hit that one. My bad. Appreciate you, Mike. One Rubino's are we cooks? Nah, we're not cooked, bro. We're good. Dre Eagles. I really think if we can get the quick pass game and up-tempo offense going to try and keep the heat up CJ, we got a shot. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like we don't use the tempo or quick pass game, man. I agree. Brandon Bucks got 2 INTs and beat the Lions this year. Facts. That's the key. Warner, Texans should go all in on Trey Smith and free agency. Yeah, we need some answers for sure. I'll hit a couple more of these. There was a couple more that I thought were good. This is the one I was talking about Mixon. Mixon has averaged career highs in explosive run rate, 15%, yards after contact per carry, and percent of rushes over expected, 44% this season, despite being contacted behind the line of scrimmage at the highest rate of his career. So he's used to having room to work with, but now he's getting worse blocking and playing better. Like, he is just locked in, dude. And he's the 3rd highest as far as getting contacted behind the line of scrimmage. So our run blocking has been bad. And Joe Mixon, and we saw when Mixon was out, the run game was non-existent. But now that he's back, he's covering it up. Like, this is insane. Mixon was contacted behind the line of scrimmage on just 32% of his carries last season and averaged 2.6 yards per carry. So he's being contacted 52%, so 20+ more percent. And he's averaging a full yard more. Like, that's crazy, dude. Maybe it's the scheme. Like, I don't know how to explain that. But Warner says Javon Holland also took would be lovely. Yeah, you can't argue that. Zadarius Smith. Yeah, they got Zadarius. Texans. I'm gonna see if there's any more on here, but I've just been go, just trying to talk my ass off as much as I can in this hour and a half or so. Lions from under center. So 76% of the Lions' runs are from under center. So if they're under center, they're probably going to run it. Lions, and they don't use any in pistol. So if they're in pistol, they're probably going to throw it. Texans defense has recorded the highest blitz rate. Berto and IG says, I'll be there too. H is up, H-Town. Defense is almost all back. Facts. And then he also says, if we can stop the run and prevent them from setting up play action, I think we should be all right. That's my key to the game, bro. To stop play action and to stop them from getting into, like, 3rd and shorts. But I agree 100%, and I'm confident we can do that. And then that's when we expose Jared Goff, in my opinion. Let's see what else. Derek Stingley is allowed the 5th lowest passer rating among quarterbacks when targeted in man coverage, so he's still elite. That PFF grade on Stingley was garbage. We didn't go over it, but I saw, before he played great in the Jets game, and they said he played terrible. It blew my mind. Stingley has recorded a 65% coverage success rate in man. Amon-Ra, yeah, you're going to be trouble. This is the other one I like too. They had one like this last week. Kamari Lassiter has forced a tight window on 36.8% of his targets this season, the highest rate among rookie defenders, minimum 10 targets, while allowing the fewest receptions over expected among the same group of players. Lassiter and Stingley are just one of 6 cornerback duos to each record a tight window rate. So basically they're sticky in coverage, and then they get in there when there is sticky in coverage, they get their hand on the ball and cause some pass breakups. So that's encouraging to see. I think we're almost done with all the good stuff here. This was surprising to me. Sam Laporta has been targeted on 14.9% of his routes this season, a decrease from 24% last year. So he's being targeted a lot less, which is kind of weird. CJ Stroud. Yep. And so I forgot to mention this earlier, but maybe I did. CJ Stroud has faced man coverage at the 4th lowest rate in the NFL this season. So people don't run man against him, but has generated a plus 22 passing EPA when he does face man, 5th best in the league. And that includes a couple games that were stinkers because of bad facing man coverage with blitz and our O-line pass protection not getting the blitz too and still passing well. Stroud has completed 42 of 70 passes, 60% for 463, 7 touchdowns, and 1 INT against man in 2024. The Lions have utilized man coverage at the highest rate in the league. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is a good matchup for us. The Lions run a shitload of man. CJ is elite versus man. The Lions are not great at pass defense. They don't have a great pass rush. That's helps our O-line. Like, we're going to put up some points. Like, we're going to score 30-plus points. So, like, you put all these pieces together, in my opinion, like, this is a good matchup for us. Offense, we should be able to pass the ball. Defense, stop the run. And then now you can create pressure on Goff. I'm optimistic, man. Like I said, my prediction is 31-24. This was pretty interesting too. Penei Sewell is obviously an incredible right tackle. Danielle Hunter is aligned as the Texans' left edge on 60+% of his snaps. Projecting a matchup with Penei Sewell, that's going to be must-watch TV. Hunter has generated a league-high 54 pressures in 2024, with 21 of his pressures occurring in under 2.5 seconds, 3rd most. Sewell has allowed a pressure rate on just 6.7% of his pass blocks this season, 8th lowest, but his 2.9 seconds average time to pressure. So basically, this is like, Goliath's meeting up. You got Hunter, who's the best pressure percentage guy, and then Penei, who's top 6 and allowing, but when he does allow a pressure, it's like a quick pressure. So basically, if Hunter beats Penei, it's probably a guaranteed sack, is how I interpret that. And so that's going to be, to me, that's like the most exciting thing is the Lions offensive line versus the Texans defensive line is going to be crazy, dude. We saw that about them. CJ, what was this one on CJ? Yeah, we know he gets pressured. Not doing good when pressured. Lions. But yeah, that's all I got, fellas. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Shout out Marcus Wiley on IG. He says, Zach Thomas, decent pickup. I agree. It sounds like it. I haven't dove too much into it, but his PFF grades don't seem too bad. He asked what my score is going to be. I got 31-24 Texans. Berto, Okudah, or Harris are missing pieces. Do you know anything? Okudah's back. I think he was a limited practice participant today, so I think that's a sneaky, underrated piece to have back. Andrew Cantor on IG asked if I'll be at the game. I will be there. I go to pretty much every game maybe this week I'll do a meetup or something if anybody wants to tailgate or whatever. I've been meaning to do it, like maybe make some content or, do some videos or something. But yeah, if anybody's going, wants to meet up, just DM me. I'll see if the wife will let me out a little sooner and go hang out and drink a couple beers with some of the Stressans. Marcus says on IG, Harris back after the bye week. That's what it sounds like for Miami. We got a couple more over here before we go. Warner, you think Collins plays this week? I think he does. I don't want to be wrong, but I'm basing that off of the tweet from Aaron Wilson earlier today. It seemed pretty optimistic. I think that we will know for sure. If he practices tomorrow, obviously he'll play. But I think if he doesn't practice tomorrow, it's not looking too good. So we should know by tomorrow. Warner, Stingley definitely get intercepted this week. I agree. I can see that, bro. I can definitely see it. And then Sarah, shout out Sarah. You're always supporting all of us. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all y'all commenting. Like, this makes it all better. I know some people like watch and don't comment, but I like to support other content creators and get on their shows when I can. But like, I know from doing my own shows now, but then also like watching other people too. But the more people comment, interact, it just makes it easier, and we can all just have a good dialogue. But Sarah says D'Amico seems like he's gotten into his element. Yeah, that's a whole other topic. So like, I've been and still am a big D'Amico fan, but the pressers have been kind of crazy. Like, I get the coach speak and not wanting to answer the same questions, but like, I mean, some of this, like I will say, by the way, like, our local media is like crushing it. Like, we're lucky to have such good media. They ask them great questions, in my opinion, and they're not even like unfair. Like, they're just like, hey, why does the pass pro suck, or what's the potential moves? And I feel like he doesn't want to. I get not wanting to give away answers on stuff or whatever, like strategy, but like, I feel like sometimes it's like almost gaslighting. Like, like when he got asked the other day about pass pro, he's like, oh, everything needs to be better. It's like, obviously, but like, obviously pass pro is the worst. Like, quit like trying to act like it's, and I don't know if that's protecting guys or not. Like, I get he's frustrated, but damn, man. I mean, there's been 2 or 3 like sound bites where I've kind of been like, bro, come on, dude. Obviously, it'll all correct itself if we win, but I don't know. Maybe he's got to accept us the way he is. He's kind of like Belichickian is what it's coming off like to me. Sarah also says, I'll be at the game, and it's going to be hard to Texans swarm if I ST. I don't know what that means. But I will be there too, Sarah. We got to be loud. Wear red. I see an O-line running a route. That'd be crazy. So you did remind me too, though, that another part of the Lions is Dan Campbell, Man Campbell, the gambler, the madman. 4th downs, he'll go for them. I think he's cut back a little bit this year, but I think D'Amico mentioned it in one of his interviews or with Vandermeer. They are aware of it. 4th downs, trick plays, special teams, they'll fake punts, field goals. So they got to be on their P's and Q's. Like, they'll do anything. Over on IG, Andrew Cantor, appreciate you commenting. Is Steen going to be on Amon-Ra? I don't see him shadowing for a couple reasons. One, we didn't do it last year until the playoffs, and D'Amico said he never did, but he did it in the playoffs against the Browns with Cooper. And 2, Amon-Ra will be in the slot a lot. I don't know if they want to put Stingley in the slot or not. I don't think we do. Andrew says, keep going live, bro. Big fan of your page on here and TikTok. I appreciate you, man. It kind of sucks. I got like 30,000+. I'm not sure what it is on TikTok, but like through this service, StreamYard, or TikTok does not allow you to go multi-stream. Like, I wish TikTok would connect it here too. I'll try to start going live on there. Marcus says, would you put on their second best? Who would you put on their second best wide receiver? So, I mean, Amon-Ra is slot 50% of the time. So when Amon-Ra's in the slot, if it's a known passing down, my options are Petrie or Ward with cloud coverage to the safety of the top. So basically double team Amon-Ra in the slot. That would leave their second best receiver, JMO, one-on-one with Stingley. So that would be the scenario there. And then if it's just normal, like, I don't think we're going to shadow, but basically Stingley will have one-on-ones with JMO and with Amon-Ra if he's out wide half the time. And then same thing with Kamari. He'll have, his fair share. Berto is absolutely right. We need to watch out for trick plays, some tricky bastards out there. Marcus says he can't wait to see the matchup. But, yeah, appreciate you guys. If y'all don't, subscribe to all the stuff. I know you may not be on all of them, but at Texans Commenter on Twitter, on TikTok, on YouTube, and then it's at Houston Stressans on Instagram and Facebook. And then if you don't mind, on the website, I would really appreciate it. Even if you don't read articles, but to subscribe to my newsletter, that would be much appreciated. And then one step further, if you want to, create a profile right here. I'm logged in, but if you click that, it'll create an account. We got Discords on there. We can kind of get that going and get dialogue going on there. It's pretty cool. You can, share, pictures and GIFs and all kind of stuff on there and post. So it's just something I'm trying to get going for us to have fun with. But I really appreciate all the support. And if y'all ever need anything, feel free to hit me up. Be blessing.